Hello everyone, this is Opurva Mandal, and in this video I am again going to analyze the questions of yesterday's UGC NET examination, especially the questions of second shift or evening shift. And in this video I'll analyze the questions from paper 2 of English literature. And yesterday I have uploaded a video on the questions of UGC NET examination of morning shift, and in this video I am going to analyze the questions of paper 2 of the evening shift. So especially again I'll tell you that the questions in the second shift also like memory based questions, and most of the questions were asked from British literature and they were based on chronology, publication years, matchmaking. So UGC followed this kind of trend this year in both shifts of English literature, and they may change their approach in the next examination. So first of all, I will discuss some of the questions from British literature. So one question was asked from Chaucer's work Roman de la Rose, and there were chronologies from Spencer, Sidney, and most probably two questions were asked from University Weights, and they were based on Green and Peely's works. And there were some questions on works of Alexander Pope and 18th century novelists and their works, and questions were based on Francis Bacon's works, P.B. Shelley's poems and other works, and poems of W.B. Yeats, Thomas Carlyle from Victorian age, and other modern poems. And there was a concept based question on comedy of humors, and there was a chronology on Charles Dickens, and there were questions on Virginia Woolf, postmodern poets, and there was a matchmaking question on William Shakespeare's comedies and tragicomedy. So these were some of the questions from British literature, and most of the questions were asked in the second shift from British literature. In the next portion, I'll discuss about the questions from Indian English literature. So from this portion, they asked questions based on some writers and their works, their publication years, and there were questions on writers like Shashi Deshpande, Asif Karim Bhoy, and Bankim Chandra and his works, Mulk Raj Anand and his works, V.S. Naipaul, Vijay Tendulkar and his plays, Toru Dutt and Rabindranath Tagore. And there was one question like which work is not written by Amitabh Ghosh. So this type of questions were based on Indian English literature. And in the third portion, there were very less question from world literature than the first shift, and they asked questions from Ben Okri, Nadim Gaudimer, Toni Morrison, Imtiaz Dharkar. Imtiaz Dharkar is a Pakistani writer, R.L. Stevenson, Judith Wright, Chinua Achebe. So these were some of the writers from world literature, and they asked questions on these writers. And from literary theory and cultural studies, they asked some questions were asked on Roland Barthes and his text Structuralism, especially Ferdinand de Saussure's text, A Course in General Linguistics. And there was a question on post-Marxists, and there was a question on Gilles Deleuze, Felix Guattari, and they asked which thinker belongs to which school. This type of question was also asked in the second shift. And there were some questions on Yale School, Frankfurt School, Raymond Williams, reader response theory, and there were matchmaking questions on theory and the name of the theorists and their works. So, and there was a question also on the characteristics of Foucauldian theory and Mikhail Bakhtin. So these were some of the questions which were asked from theory and cultural studies. And in the next portion, there were around 3 to 4 questions from English in India, and they specially asked these questions from Macaulay's Minute, Radhakrishnan Commission of 1948, Kothari Commission. So these were some of the questions from English in India. And in the next portion, they asked around 5 to 6 questions from ELT, that is English language teaching, and they asked that what is second language acquisition, what are its features, and they asked that name some of the works based on the development of English language. They told you to identify this type of works. And these were some of the questions from ELT. And in the next portion, they asked 3 to 4 questions from research methods, and I am making this video after talking with some of the candidates, and they didn't remember all the questions from research methods, and that's why they especially told me one question, and that was autobiographical research and its features. So there were other 2 or 3 questions from research methods. And in the next portion from literary criticism, especially UGC regularly ask 4 or 5 questions from literary criticism, and in the morning shift they asked 3 or 4 questions, but in the evening shift questions were very less from literary criticism, and there was a conceptual questions from new criticism and on Aristotle's works. And for the last portion, I'll tell you that there were 2 reading comprehension passages. One was a poem, and 5 questions were asked from that poem, and one was a passage, and they asked 5 questions from that passage. So after analyzing both shifts, I will suggest you that this time UGC followed a particular pattern of asking matchmaking, publication years and chronology type questions. But in the next examination, they may change their pattern. They may ask conceptual questions, or they may follow mixed pattern. So I'll tell you that read all the units of paper 2 from basic level to advanced level, and try to think that which areas are most relevant for questions of UGC NET examination, and accordingly prepare yourself. So this is my suggestion, that never lose hope, and actually try to understand that what are their psychology. They are changing patterns consistently, so you also need to prepare according to the pattern. So try to understand the pattern, try to understand the exam and prepare accordingly, and you will definitely perform better. So I hope these 2 videos will help you a lot, and just don't wait for the result. And if you think that this time you didn't perform better, then prepare yourself for the next examination. So best of luck, and I hope you will perform better in the next examination.